Hello, everyone, and welcome to this bonus episode of the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with WendyY Bailey. I am WendyY Bailey. And for the next several minutes, I'm going to talk to you about a topic that my community, my tribe over at profitablecoachingsociety.com actually selected for me to talk about in this bonus episode. I usually like to tell you a little bit about myself. I don't want to be too repetitious, but I am a master business and sales coach. I'm known as your income acceleration mentor. And I'm an 18 plus year veteran in the coaching industry. And I'm a lifelong learner and a serial entrepreneur. I think I was born to be an entrepreneur. The first time I stepped into it, I was 17 years old. And I, went to college, went to finish my 12-year diploma, and then I went to college, and I still had that yearning to be an entrepreneur. So when I was in corporate America, I was voted off the island and decided it was my time to actually step into what I truly was meant to be, and that's an entrepreneur, and that's a coach. Coaching is what I found my way to. I never looked back. It is where I'm at most comfortable. It's where I'm home. It's where I am, as Thomas Leonard, the father of coaching, said, when he is coaching from his big toe, that's how I feel when I'm coaching. I'm a lifelong learner. I've gone to 5 different coach training schools. I've done Coach U, Coach Training Alliance, Coachville, the Fearless Living Institute, and Fruits of Labor. The Fruits of Labor is where I got my neurolinguistic programming practitioner certification. So today I'm going to talk to you about what to do when your ideal clients reject your high ticket offer. I know that it's sort of different for most people when they see that. Someone posted on my, when I published this particular episode, the description for it, someone said, you just keep it moving. Well, sometimes you don't want to keep it moving. You've got to have some skills. You've got to have some tools so that you're able to address rejection when it happens. So today I'm going to tell you about what to do when you experience rejection. I am live streaming across Facebook, my Facebook group, my Facebook page, LinkedIn, and both of my YouTube channels. So be sure that you like, comment, review, subscribe so that you are connected to me. Let's connect if we're not, and let's be sure to stay in touch. So first thing I want to tell you when you look at rejection, and I want to read something to you. I want to make sure it's what I wrote. Yes. Yeah. Rejection is not something that you need to take personal. That's the first thing. Don't take it personal. When people reject you, they're not saying no to you. They're not saying no to the person that you've become. They're not saying no to the coach that you are, the professional. It's not an affront to your dignity or the person that you are. It is not personal. And I'm reminded that this is also one of the 4 agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. So if you haven't picked up that book, you haven't read it, be sure to do that. Don't take it personal, because it's not personal. It's not personal. The next thing I want to talk to you about, the next thing I want you to know is, remember you're a coach. Remember you're a coach. As a coach, you get to stand in that professional space. You get to be the person that they originally reached out to you about being. You're a coach. Your expertise, your professionalism is still in play, even when they have rejected your high ticket offer. I want you to know that when the rejection happens and you don't take it personal, you're positioning yourself to be the professional coach that you are. You're positioning yourself to be able to respond to that in a way that exudes your professionalism and in a way that extends the service that you're bringing. I like to talk about rejection therapy. I'm going to tell you more about that in just a minute. Then what you can do as a coach, the third step, is to ask for permission to further the dialogue. You need to find out what's really going on, because I'm telling you, when you extend an opportunity for someone to work with you, it is an invitation, right? And if the invitation is rejected, often it's because fear surfaced, not just for you, but for your client. So you've got to be in a space where you can ask for permission to further the dialogue. Is it okay if we talk about that a little bit? Keep it simple. It doesn't have to be anything really, profound or elaborate. Just ask the question, can we talk about it a little bit more? And you're asking for permission to understand what the rejection is really about, what the no is really about. Okay. Then you can ask curious questions about the objection. What makes you say that? Remember, open-ended questions. So open-ended questions start with what, where, why, when, how. So you're going to ask a question that opens up the dialogue about the reason they supposedly rejected you. It gives you insight into what's really going on. It tells you about the fears that they're dealing with. It tells you about what's happening in their minds about the opportunity to work with you. And then you can be compassionate. Be compassionate. Listen closely. Care about what the client is saying. If you go beyond that, you're being pushy. Okay. If you're not listening and patiently waiting and continuing to ask questions, curious questions, not pushy questions, then you're being compassionate. Okay. And then I think the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is what happens when you are rejected. Like I've given you these 5 steps, but I want to point you to a blog post that I wrote on businessbeyondlimits.com some time ago, March 2017, but it's still timeless. It's good now. Rejection therapy is real, right? It's real. You've got to, if you're really suffering and you're feeling some kind of emotion about being rejected, you need to go into some kind of therapy for rejection specifically. And I had a guest blogger on my blog that shared how you deal with the no's, really in depth, Dr. Nadia Brown. And I'll actually put a link to that in the show notes once we conclude the episode. But the thing that I thought was really cool is we all know rejection can be scary, right? And even for me as a sales coach, it can still be scary. But what I've learned through my own rejection therapy is, first of all, fear is a liar. Fear will tell you that no one wants to talk to you or no one wants to enroll in what you are offering. And do you hear the generalization? Fear will tell you that you are not qualified to do what you do because someone, quote unquote, rejected you. Okay, they turned your offer down. It will also tell you that no means that you are not enough. And even as a sales coach, I still feel the not enough pangs when I'm talking with someone or when I put something to the marketplace and I feel like I've been scrutinized or not really, I'm not really seeing the fruits of my efforts or whatever. I still deal with that daily. But fear is a liar. In fact, your ideal clients are always, always, always ready, willing, and able to invest in themselves by hiring you. Yeah, fear is a liar. That's the truth. Okay. The second one is fear has limits. Fear has limits. The fears we don't face become our limits. That's what Robin Sharma, who's one of my digital mentors, he's a leadership and peak performance coach. And he says that fears we don't face become our limits. And let me break it down. I'm happy to know that fears have limits because with limits, I'm more confident I can challenge them. And I'm equally confident I can overcome those limits. You just got to know what they are. So understand what the limits are that the fear is saying to you. When you go through your own rejection therapy, and I'll tell you what that looks like in a minute, when you go through your own rejection therapy, it means that you are practicing, you're strengthening the muscle that helps you overcome limits that you may be facing. Limits around sales, limits around marketing, limits around what you do in your business. You are facing those as part of your rejection therapy. The next thing that I learned was I'm braver and stronger than rejection. I am braver and stronger than rejection, and you are too. The more you make sales calls, the more courageous you become. The more you make sales calls, although you may not get a yes, yet you know you're closer to one ever than before. Okay. You know that getting through the calls, making the sales calls, you're moving that much closer to a yes. Okay. And with every no, what I want you to do is to begin to tell yourself that you haven't gotten to yes yet or until now. Use those words, language that in your brain, until now, until now, to fuel your courage in anticipation of your next, yes, I'm ready, let's do it. You got to move through those moments. You are braver and stronger than rejection. Then the last thing, this is the story I want to tell. It's in the blog post. I'm going to tell it from here. My son took me to see the movie Fences for Christmas at the end of 2016. And the movie was engaging and insightful and thought-provoking. And it's the story of a working class African-American father trying to raise his family in the 1950s while coming to terms with the events of his life, or what he sees as the failures that he's had. I saw the theatrical version several years ago, and at the end of it, I remember boohooing, like I was sobbing, like it stirred so many emotions for me. And the movie was no different. But what was cool is my son turned to me and he said, Mom, my dad needs to see this movie, and we need to have a conversation about mending fences. So the third thing I want to, or the fourth thing I think I'm telling you, is rejection therapy involves mending fences. And sometimes they're mending fences with you. You are mending fences around what you think, what your limits are, what you believe was true, what you found is not true, what others have said to you that may have felt like you felt less than. When you think of rejection, all of those emotions from your childhood come up, all of those, issues that you suffered through in relationships, in toxic relationships, it all comes forward. All of the things that you ever thought that were bad about yourself, they come forward. But here's the cool thing about it. When you are exercising or practicing or engaged in rejection therapy, you're dealing with the fear, you're dealing with the limits, you're dealing with, you're recognizing how much braver and stronger you are. You're realizing that it's time for you to mend fences. You understand that everything is about relationships. And in the sales conversation, when clients quote unquote reject you, you are moving beyond whatever has happened. You're maintaining the relationship. You're keeping the bond that you created. You're making sure that you are building trust. You're showing compassion to your most ideal clients in a way that helps you move through it, move beyond it to a place where you can continue moving forward, knowing that you're going to hear a yes. So here's what I want to say about rejection. You keep hearing me say, quote unquote, rejection. I've done air quotes around rejection. It is not rejection. It's just a no. It's just a no. And when you think of it as just a no, all of a sudden you begin to realize you can address it in a way that's resourceful for you. It's productive for the relationship and the conversation you're having. And you can continue to move forward as a professional, as a coach, by being curious and compassionate and asking questions, understanding more about your most ideal client's needs and what's really happening in your ideal client's world, how you can continue to be of service. So when you think of why people are rejecting your high ticket offers, it's not about the money. I'm telling you, unless they are in survival mode, it is so not about the money. It's about financial priority. So if you don't hear anything else that I've said, I want you to hear that. Rejection is just a simple no. Okay. Rejection is simply no. And it's moving you closer to a yes. Then when you think of the rejection or the objection, the no, if you will, it's also an opportunity for you to learn more about yourself, to deepen your coaching skills. Coach and coaching is such a buzzword these days. There are people out there who are coaching who absolutely have no business coaching because they don't have the resolve. They don't have the philosophy about what being a great coach is. They're impatient. They're intolerant. You've got to be in a space, if you're calling yourself a professional coach, you've got to be in a space where you are putting the care of your client and the service that you're offering the client above whatever you're feeling personally. You've got to not be intolerant. You've got to not be impatient. You've got to go with the ebb and flow of that dialogue around the high ticket offer. You've also got to remember, as I said before, that saying no or I can't afford it is not always about the money. That's why you need to coach. And when you coach, you can understand more and more about what the objection truly is. I'm going to close with this, and I say it all the time. It's not new information if you've spent any time around me. There are 5 objections, and all of your objections fall into the 5 categories. Lack of time, lack of need, lack of money. We already talked about that being financial priority, disbelief in you, and disbelief in your ability to solve their problem. All of those answers, okay, all of the responses to those 5 objections really is all the 5 things that I've already told you. It's remember that, let me just go through them again. Remember that it's not personal. It's not about you, okay? Remember also that you're a coach, so this is your opportunity to coach. You get to ask for permission, and based on asking for permission, you get to continue and further the dialogue. You get to ask curious questions about what the objection is about, what's surfacing, what's happening. That's how you find out whether it's financial priority or they're in survival mode. If your client is in survival mode, it is a money issue, right? And then finally, be compassionate in how you talk and listen and learn and discover more about your client in that conversation. So you've seen the tickler that's been running beneath this video, and I want to make sure you know that you can join me at the Profitable Coaching Society. Just go to profitablecoachingsociety.com and join us. It's where the pre-show, after party, we're having a great time over there talking all things profitable coaching, conversations, sales, marketing, personal development, professional development, coaching. It's a great community, and I'd love to serve you there. This has been another bonus episode of the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show. And I'm WendyY Bailey, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Remember, I'm usually here around 2 p.m. Eastern. Had some technical difficulties earlier, but I was able to get on. So be sure to connect with me. Be sure to let me know that you have watched it, like it, review it. Tell me more about it. You can look at all the other episodes. Let me see if I can find it. You can look at the episodes in the podcast. This is a video podcast website at profitablecoachingconversations.com. I'll see you guys over there. Take care, everyone. Bye.